right, so this question has already been mapped out for you. Again, there are lots of other kind of free response 1 through 6 little worksheets here that you can attempt. I will note that these are actually also all draw from question pools, so you can actually, in some cases, attempt them multiple times. So I think typically it's really great to start with the bass part, get that really locked in. So all I'm going to do here is just select voice 2 here, and I've already got my rhythmic value selected. As we said from our previous chart we looked at, the bass part here provides a beautiful opportunity for a really nice ascending line. So we can go here, and I'll just bring that chart up again here so we can jump back to it if we need to. So our nice ascending line here, A flat, B flat, C, C, D flat, D flat, E flat, etc. Okay, so let's start by inputting that, and then we have our 2 C's up to the D flat. Stay on the D flat there as the 2 chord appears in second inversion, and then finish on the 5 chord. I will replace this with a half note here. Now, typically, I would generally suggest jumping now to the soprano part. In this context, you can then work on creating a kind of contrary line to your bass part here, which is a really nice way to kind of set yourself up for success. And as I said, potentially avoid some of those nasty parallel, fifths, parallel octaves, and so on. So what we're going to do here is, again, I selected voice 1 and back to my rhythmic value. This chord progression, as I mentioned before, is quite common, and it provides often a nice opportunity for kind of a voice interchange. So what that means is, whilst we have an ascending line here, we can have a nice descending line in the top, in the soprano. And what we'll see here is, whilst we start on the A here, the A flat, we end up on the A flat over here. And whilst we start on the C here, we end up on the C over here. And our B flats kind of meet nicely in the middle. So that progression often lends itself really nicely to that sort of motion. There are other options here, but this can be a really good one to work with. So moving on to our chromatic chord here. So what I might do is, again, just thinking about our melodic line here, the bass part stays on the C, so there's no move here, oblique motion. But again, thinking about our descending line here, this might be a good opportunity to bring in the main kind of chromatic note. So if we come back here, we can see we have our G flat here, and we know it has to resolve nicely to an F. So that gives us a really nice opportunity to insert that into the melodic line. So I'll choose my flat here and pop in my G flat. As we just said, this has to resolve to the F here. And from here, we have a kind of a few different options. Maybe for now, we will stay on the F and then perhaps jump back to the G, the chordal third on our final chord there. All right, so now typically it can be great to move into the alto voice. So again, I'll select voice 2. If you do need to ever, like remove any voices, you can of course select the eraser there, or you can actually also, use this rhythmic value here to kind of just replace an existing note as well, like so. All right, so with voice 2 selected, I'm going to start to work on my alto part here. Again, great idea to always coming back to our reference chart here to make sure that we are ticking off each note in our chord that we need to spell. You can, of course, like draw little lines through these as you go to make sure you have included them all, and also kind of address any kind of doubling or omission that you might need to apply. Okay, so the alto and the poor altos and the poor tenors, for better or worse, often get the kind of slightly more boring. There is no need to be massively creative here. So if there is opportunity for me to stay on the same note, I will certainly take that on. So this E flat does appear in both of these chords, and I can, of course, then also hang on to it here as well when I get to my 1/6 chord. All right, so moving on to our next chord here. So I think we figured out this is essentially the notes we're looking for here are A flat, C, E flat, and our G flat. So I've already got the C, I've already got the G flat. So once again, I can hang on to my E flat here, keep maintaining this common tone. I'm clearly not going to win any composition awards here for my alto part, but that's okay. Okay, so finally getting into our last bar here, we have to kind of address a few items. So again, we have a D flat and an F. The kind of smoothest voice leading here is to go down by step to the D flat again. I can double this on this chord, and you'll note that the bass is still ascending. So I can descend here in my alto part along with the soprano without any risk of any kind of parallels or anything nasty like that. Okay, so now we're going to address the tenor line. So I will jump back to voice 1 to enter my tenor line, and let's have a look at the notes we've currently got in here. So again, if we come back to our kind of reference that we mapped out here, you can see we need an E flat, a G, and a B flat. Currently have the B flat, we have 2 B flats, which is super common on a 5/6/4 chord, and we have our E, so we need to insert a G natural here. Again, you can see that basically the bass is ascending, so this is not going to cause any issues in terms of parallels with my bass part. The alto is on the same note, oblique motion, and the soprano is descending as well. So it can be useful just to check here to make sure I'm not ending up with any parallels between my soprano and my tenor part. But these are basically moving in thirds. So I've got a C and an A flat and a B flat and a G. So I'm pretty safe there, which is great. Okay, let's now jump in and work on this chord 3 here. Again, we come back to our tonic chord in first inversion. So we have a C and A flat, an E flat, and another A flat. So we have spelled out the chord nicely. We do have the chordal tonic root is doubled there. And again, if we look at just checking for any kinds of parallel motion, we can see we do have parallel motion with the bass part, but the interval that we have here is actually a sixth. So we are all good, and the other voices move in contrary motion or oblique motion.